Hey, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. My name is Jenelle Riley. I'm an editor of Variety. I'm so thrilled to welcome you to this Q&A with the cast of Stuck. I want to start by introducing some of the cast members, beginning with a wonderful actress who is stealing scenes right now in the movie Always Be My Maybe. You've also seen her on Sullivan and Son. Please welcome Vivian Bang. Also joining us is an actor you've seen everywhere, most recently on LA to Vegas, and you've heard him on numerous animated shows, Amir Talai. We have an Emmy Award nominee who has starred in such shows as Community, Santa Clarita Diet, and The X-Files. Please welcome Joel McHale. And he brought wine. An actress who won an Independent Spirit Award for her debut film, Welcome to the Dollhouse. She's recently appeared in films like Sisters and Don't Worry, He Won't Get Far on Foot. Please welcome Heather Matarazzo.
Yeah. Come on.
Yeah. Finally, an award-winning actress, director, producer, writer. Her credits as a performer include Vice, Dark Knight Rises, Bad Teachers, all the bad movies, and of course the stage adaptation of The Cider House Rules, for which she earned a Drama Desk Award nomination. Please welcome Jillian Armenante. And everyone here is already buzzed, so we're off to a good start. Thank you guys so much for being here. Congratulations on a great movie. I always like to start at the beginning because this is an audience of SAG actors. How did you get your SAG card? What was the job that brought you that special card?
I was in New York and still going to NYU, and I was obsessed. You know, they used to have video stores, and I was obsessed with this indie filmmaker, Hal Hartley, and I'd watch all of his films, and then I literally looked on Backstage when I was in college, and I went to this like open call, and he was in the room, and I was like, oh my God. And so I think he was just like really excited that I was such a fan that he just gave me a part so I could have a SAG card.
What was the movie?
It's called Henry Fool. And I was still in college, yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm just amazed that he was casting out of Backstage.
Maybe, yeah.
What's wrong with Backstage actors?
It's old news.
Don't discriminate.
That's all I'm saying. Yeah. No. That's
How else
cool.
are we supposed to, like, how do we find out?
So cool. No, I've heard stories
SAG
about...
hates Backstage, I guess.
I've heard stories about like Ang Lee as a student and Spike Lee casting out of Backstage, but when you hear it like an established director, that's amazing.
Yeah, but sometimes indie directors, they want new faces, and they don't want like like any of the people that agents send or the industry sends. So they're looking for like, fresh street faces.
That is so
I
cool.
guess that's like fact.
Yeah, you're the street. You're a fresh street face. Amir, for you?
I honestly don't remember. I know it was in San Francisco, but to me, it wasn't like a momentous thing, because to me, it was like sort of as obvious as getting headshots and a resume. It's like, yeah, you turn SAG, like, duh. Right. So it was a commercial or like an industrial something in San Francisco that like paid very little at the time, I'm sure.
I didn't know you started in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, born and raised.
Oh, you're kidding. Mm-hmm. So what brought you out to shiny Los Angeles?
I just hit a ceiling down there where I was working as much as I could. And so but it wasn't very much. So it was time to come down here. Yeah.
What was your first job when you got out here?
I just saw this again because my friend posted it on Facebook. Oh. It was a Mad TV sketch that was like Indians dancing, and it turned out that it was a McDonald's commercial. It was just complete nonsense about how Indians make crazy commercials.
It turned out it was racist, everyone.
Yeah.
He's not an Indian.
Yeah, I know. I was sitting here trying to think. I was like,
not Indian.
Yeah. What ethnicity haven't you played at actually?
Yeah, many still.
Yeah.
I still have yet to play Thai. That's my next.
Okay.
That's my next thing.
We'll work on that.
Yeah.
Joel, for you?
I got my SAG card in San Francisco with Amir. We decided that it was a day we would never forget. and that we made a blood pact when we're like, we've made it, we've arrived, we are in the union. We made a little incision on our wrists, combined the blood, and I can't believe this asshole doesn't remember it. I grew up in Seattle, and yeah, that's right, go Seahawks. Fuck you guys. And it was, there was a lot of work for actors in corporate films.
Yes.
And I taught a lot of Microsoft employees how to behave at work. And then I got my big break in a national commercial, read them and weep, guys, for the Ford Aspire, which was destroyed by the Neon, the Chrysler Neon. And I did, I just was sitting on a blanket, and that's when I lost all my money to SAG because I was like, I have to pay what to join the union? Mm-hmm. I paid a bunch of money, and then that's how it went. Ford Aspire. I'm sure there's almost 3 of them left.
I have no idea.
I mean, I would think it must have
I don't
been
remember.
Dollhouse? Was that
Maybe
No.
in San Francisco with
Because
me
I
and
started
Amir.
working when I was 7.
Oh,
Kidding.
bragging.
Tired. Yeah, so I did like episodes of Pete and Pete on Nickelodeon, and I had like a few commercials for like Capri Sun, and so I don't really remember.
Is there a chance you're not in the union?
I mean, well, I don't have health care right now, so
Thanks,
could
SAG.
be. Yeah,
You get
thanks,
screeners.
SAG. Yes.
Okay, then you're probably okay.
Yeah, no,
You're
healthy
healthy enough to watch them.
1997, she gets those screened.
No, but for pretty like at least for the last 20 years. Like I've been a member of SAG probably closer to 25,
gotta be
30.
Yeah, because you're 27.
Yeah, exactly.
I always appreciate this question because do you guys remember, like all of you members, do you remember like just wondering like how you're going to get your SAG card? Because it's
No,
so,
they got it last week. Yes, they remember.
I mean, I remember being in college going like, how does one get a SAG card? Because it's impossible. You can't work on a SAG job unless you have a SAG card.
I know, it's such a catch-22.
Yeah.
I have to say I'm
Give
very
yourself a
proud
hand.
because my kid over here with the red hair who was in the movie is just got cast in a Netflix movie and she's getting your SAG card this week.
Yeah.
Stand up. Woo!
Hazel, everybody.
Well, you're already in the building, so you can drop off a check downstairs. Wait, she didn't get Taft-Hartley for this?
No, she got Taft-Hartley for other things.
Oh, okay. That's. Wait, now I want to plug your Netflix movie, but we'll get to that. So I want to start at the beginning with Stuck. I know this film was written by David McHale and Heather Turman, who is also the actress.
Yeah,
And
Heather,
she's
where you at?
here.
Stand up.
Yeah, she's here.
Yay.
Who played
and
Chloe?
she's great in the movie.
I was telling her I was so impressed because I thought her performance was so great, and then I was like, oh my God, she's the writer too. Like that's sort of the dream. How did the script, I guess, initially find its way to you?
There's a gentleman named Larry LeBeau who runs an organization called New Filmmakers Los Angeles, and I did a little thing in my backyard with Joel and a couple other people called Kittens in a Cage.
Yes.
And that won New Filmmakers as the feature and me as best director. And when he read that script, I guess those guys know each other. He was like, I feel like this is a good pairing. So we met over coffee, and I was like, this is a hilarious script, and I want to do it.
I mean, what attracted you to it right away? Because it's funny but absurd, and then it also has this heart that kind of caught me off guard.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I loved, is that it seemed very balanced. You know, it wasn't just a ha-ha funny. It also had that undercurrent. And I related to Darby because I was a total fuck up in the 80s. And I felt very sympathetic toward her and her character, and I wanted to represent her as best as possible.
That's actually something I want to talk about because I think we've sort of moved away from this, but for years there was this thought that female characters always had to be likable, no matter what. And like, this is credit to a terrific performance. I really hated her when this movie started, and I really did come to sort of fall in love with her. And I'm just sort of curious, like, what was your reaction when you saw this on the page?
I mean, it inspired me to say yes. You know, I had been sent the script through a mutual friend of Jillian and mine, and and I read it. I was doing another movie in Pennsylvania at the time, and it was the quickest read. And it was a very, very easy yes. And for me, we all sometimes have to say yes to things that we don't want to say yes to because we have bills to pay. This
You're all
is
actors,
true.
you know.
Come on.
Come on.
We all do it.
They're being paid
And-
tonight to watch us.
Okay. You know who doesn't get paid? I found out last night that audience participants on The Voice. They're essentially held hostage for 12 hours with nothing but a single kind bar and a pint of water. I kid you not. I digress. But it was such an easy yes because the script was fantastic, you know, and Darby is a fuck up, but also I think that she follows the beat of her own drummer, which is something that I've always identified with and therefore have played. You know, and it is rare that comedies have such heart.
Yeah.
You know, and Heather and David captured that brilliantly on the page, so it was very easy for me then to embody that.
And for the rest of you, how did the script find its way to you, and what attracted you to your roles? Joel, I know you and Jillian go back like way, way back to Seattle, right?
We were married in the 70s.
Wow.
And I,
He turned me gay.
yeah, I turned her gay. That was after I sent the bus to kill her. I don't blame you. Jillian calls me like every year and a half, and she goes, "I need you to, or I want you to do this thing. I need you to," and I'm like, I basically will say anything, yes to anything she wants me
Are we
to do.
recording this?
Oh, yeah.
That's true, because she at one point was the queen of Seattle. And she was always a legend in Seattle. And then when I began to get to know her, I did not ever let her know that I was always like, oh, that's great. And so when she asked me to be in it, because that hadn't never, well, it happened 2 other times before, but that was...
We shouldn't talk about those.
Yeah. We destroyed that movie because it was too hot. And so I couldn't be more thrilled. And she's the nicest person on the planet. So I was on board. I just couldn't remember what day we were shooting. And then I landed from Las Vegas
he did
after staying
fly
up
in
all
at
night.
6 in the morning.
I landed at 6 in the morning from Vegas.
He's like, oh,
and-
that's tomorrow. Okay, I'll be there.
yeah. I was like, can it be moved today? And she was like, it cannot. And there was nervous laughter. And I was like, great, I'll be there. And my wife said, you're an idiot. And I was like, yes, I am.
And you were great.
At least you got to sit the whole time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of, was it always that role you wanted him for, or is it the sort of thing where you say, hey, take a look at the script and you know, dealer's choice?
Did I actually approach you for the doctor first in the beginning? And then the dates worked out better that you were the judge, I think.
Daniel Day-Lewis played the doctor, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. So I was like, Daniel, you take the doctor, I'll take the judge. I don't remember.
Yeah, I think it was a
much
datey,
like you don't
shuffly
remember our
thingy.
big day in San Francisco where we became SAG members. I don't remember, but Jillian let me just say a lot of shit out loud for an hour
And he's
and
a
half.
terribly busy man, and the judge shot all in one day. So
That is why
I
I
was
took
like,
the role.
get in.
Yeah.
But then you had the wrong day, so it didn't really.
Yeah, I
work
had
out
to do
well.
a job for Laffy Taffy the next day, so I was priorities.
Actually, he was in Vegas working for children's cancer.
That is true. Yes.
I can't make
we're
fun of that.
against it. I don't like it. I think it's bad.
Anti-children's
I don't want anyone to like, walk out of here going like, that guy likes children's cancer. He wants children to get cancer. No. Against. Fighting against.
Amir, for you?
Heather Turman reached out to me. She knew me through my wife and just offered me the role. And I don't get many offers.
Really?
Yeah.
I have seen breakdowns that actually ask for an Amir Talai type.
Yes,
So I find it hard to believe.
I've gone in for an Amir Talai type a couple times, not gotten the part.
I've also gone in for Vivian Bang type and have not
Gone in for Jillian Armenante type as well.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so just read the script and loved it. I think the character name initially was, do you remember? Gordon. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I love it. One thing, there's no Persian guys named Gordon, so can we change it to something sort of Persian, like maybe the first name or maybe the last name? And when they came back with how about Mohammed Gorbani, I was like, that's Persian as fuck. Okay. Yes. Great. But
that's weird because you're Indian.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing.
So I have the same agent and managers as Jillian. And, I do one of those things that actors do. We like stalk our agents like on IMDb to see who like they represent, like what clients. And Jillian was always like, I was a huge fan of Jillian's. And I actually, it's one of like these LA stories where you're like kind of manifesting, like, I was like, I need to meet her somehow. Like, how do I do, And I always like saw her like on IMDb and I'm like, we're repped by the same agents. Like, how am I gonna, hang? And so I'm thinking this, and then out of the blue, like I kid you not, my agent was like, Jillian is directing this movie and, she'd like to offer you this role. And I was like, oh my God. So the power of manifestation. No. But yeah, I read the part, and this was, of course, like made before Crazy Rich Asians. And, as a woman of color, I've, I read this part and I thought, oh, how fun to like poke fun at this, like, and take back, this like stereotypical like play on, like, so like I was really excited to be able to play and working with Jillian. Oh my gosh. Like I love actors who are like really smart directors. And I think a lot of times like actors make like great directors because they have this listening, and they kind of provide you this safe space where you can like really play and feel comfortable to like, play with behavior and words and scripts are great. But, I got into this because I'm really like fascinated with like humanity and behavior. And Jillian, like she like really set this environment where we could all just like really play. And she gave us permission to do that. So that was like really fun.
What was it? Because none of these people here auditioned, which that makes you guys angry, but I'm sure
we've all been there. Come on.
I'm sure there are plenty of actors who probably had to audition for their roles. And what is it like to be on the other side of that table when you've been a working actor for so long?
Yeah, as much as I've been a working actor, I was in the trenches of theater as well. I started a theater in Seattle called Annex Theater. It's 32 years old at this point. I helped start Circle X down here. She's a Sacred Fool. And
so was Amir for a while, but he left.
Oh, you're a fool? I didn't know that.
He was kicked out.
And so I all along I've been directing and acting and directing and acting. We did have auditions. The Avery Pearson came in and he didn't even open his mouth, and I was like, can I have him, please? I love him. He's the pizza guy. I just thought he was so wonderful. I'd never met him. He came to my house and he sat down. He hadn't even started with the script, and I was like, yes, please. Can I have? So, we all audition. They go well. They don't go well. So there were a lot of new people I'd never worked with before, but I'm open to anybody, but I also love my friends, and it wasn't entirely nepotistic because, if we knew somebody who'd be perfect for that and they can do it, that was great. Otherwise, we'd pull people in.
I'm so curious because we do have so many actors here, and auditioning is such a strange process. I don't know a better way to do it, so it's sort of what we're stuck with. But is there anything you would want to tell someone, going into that audition room that has worked for you? Maybe something that hasn't worked for you guys?
I when I first came to town, I was already kind of old when I came from Seattle, and I had a mentor who told me, prepare the script as much as possible and then hold it as if you just got it, as if you've never seen it before. And don't present anything, but work the moments in front of people, because you haven't got the job yet and they're not paying you. So just work it in the moment. And I've held on to that for 25 years easily. So
anyone else?
I guess I would say that one of the most important things in the audition room is to let them know that it's about giving them those sort of subliminal professional cues, right? That you will be capable on the day of the shoot, that you won't be terribly needy or terribly confused, but that like you got this. So it's just about sort of like having a sort of comfort and ease with the material, with getting adjustments and direction. Not coming in as like, I'm gonna nail this for you, right? It's sort of like you want to have first date energy, of like, let's get to know each other and let's hope this works out. I had a teacher a long time ago tell me that it's you want to have the same nervousness that a plumber has when they come in and give you an estimate, which is none, right? That the plumber comes in and goes, so it looks like this is what you need, this is what I do, and I would charge you about this much. Let me know if you're interested, right? Real simple.
Yeah.
And you don't have to put that much on it.
Yeah, auditions. I think I've struggled with this relationship with auditions like my whole career. And I still quite haven't figured it out. Right now I'm in this phase where I'm just like really trying to just enjoy. You're driving like an hour. Sometimes it takes 2 hours to get to that appointment. You get there and you're like waiting and you have like what? So I'm just like, okay, I'm going to take this time, as actors, I think we're storytellers, and I'm just like, I'm going to go into this audition and tell the best story and the best version of the story as I can and not think about anything else. I remember for Always Be My Maybe, the Netflix film, I know that I wasn't like their first choice. And so I had to go through I think eight auditions,
Did you know that going in?
That I would go through 8 auditions.
No, did you know that you weren't the first choice going in?
No.
Because sometimes you do.
It's not that. It's just, it was a Netflix film. And, it's like they're giving it to names and they're making offers to names. And so I wasn't a name. And, so I just remember going in thinking I know this person and I know this story and I'm just going to have fun. And I had fun and I left literally without attachment. But then when they call you back, then you're like, oh my God, how to not have attachment or expectations. But I really did. Even the 8th time I think I read for studio and blah, 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 I just did not have any expectations or attachments. I think attachments and expectations are the worst, the enemy of our career.
Another thing that my friends and I were talking about is that you have to be, and I think it's piggybacking off this, you piggybacking off what you just said.
Piggybacking. I know where your mind is.
You want to be professionally invested, so prepare the shit out of it, but emotionally disconnected, right? So
pretend you know it really, really well, and then forget about it.
Yeah.
And play the impulse in the moment, and just
Sure.
Also, take your time. It's our time. We're human beings. Take our space, take our time. You showed up. That's your time to tell this story the way that you want to. Take it,
Did you know that you were going to be acting opposite Keanu Reeves in that movie when you auditioned for it? And you were still not invested? No, I'm curious if he was cast already or if that was...
I did not know Keanu
Okay.
Reeves. Yeah. But I'm in a television show with Keanu Reeves called
That's right, Swedish Dicks, of
So
course,
yeah,
yeah.
when I was doing that and then we got Keanu Reeves, I was freaking out in the makeup. Yeah. So yeah, Keanu, I'm starstruck already. I can barely speak. Yeah.
Which lends itself well to the character, I guess. Joel?
No, I echoing
Yeah,
it again. You prepare your ass off like nothing else, and I approach it like a sport that you practice basketball, you practice baseball, and then when you get in the game, just be ready for anything to happen. And whatever you do, don't set it. Don't go, this is the way I'm going to do it, this is the way I'm going to sound. Then it will be awful and you should be thrown out a window. So just be ready for anything, but be insanely prepared.
Heather, for you, and you started at such a young age too. I'm curious, rejection is so hard to deal with at any age. How did you sort of blow it off when you're 7 or 8?
Well, I was adopted, so that takes care of that. It's funny because it's true and sad. So
love
being
you,
an actor, being an actor was the logical next step. You know, I'm just a glutton for punishment. Love me, please. Please, I'll come back for more again and again.
When did you know you wanted to be an actor?
1984 or 5, Madonna, Like a Virgin tour, right?
Not swept away.
No, Like a Virgin.
That's a deep dive.
And I remember sitting in front of my television set, and at the time I hadn't uttered a word. Like I was put into foster care. This family that ended up adopting me thought that I was autistic, because proving their point already. and I remember watching Madonna as like it was yesterday, and she's coming out stage right with this sequin jacket, and her hair is done up, and I pointed at the TV and I said, I do that. It wasn't a question, it wasn't a want, it just, I do that. And then...
That's why you became the biggest pop star of the 1990s.
Exactly.
You know, I mentioned how this movie, it's obviously a comedy, but it does have this heart and like sort of like this dark sense of humor in places, which I adore. How did you capture that tone? I mean, I'm assuming a lot of it was in the script, but also when you're on set, how did you know if, you need to pull it back in, or if you were going too far, or maybe there is no too far?
As a director, I always think of the director as like the center of the octopus, sort of, and in terms of production design and acting style, and because there can be great actors, but they might not belong in the same film together. You know what I mean? And the script was so good, but I consider it a bit of a diving board, and we had such incredible actors that at points when people are getting technical, they're getting in their head, I just think like, look, it's not celluloid. Like we can run this and just go and dig and find what we can. And when we have such talented improvisers, and when you just really want to find the kernel of the scene, yes, the script is a template, and it was wonderful. But when you can then add to it, and then the art of editing, and I call it like stone soup. We start with a bucket of water and a rock, and like Joel's parsley, he's a carrot, Vivian's a bone, whatever. But like everyone, whatever. It's a compliment in my world. But you add stuff to the pot, and I don't know what we're going to get, but it's going to be a pretty gourmet meal by the end. So.
And I believe, this was shot pretty quickly on an independent budget. Are you allowed to talk about your shooting schedule?
We can, if I can remember it. I might be in a blackout with that. We had some challenges. We were shut down at one point, and there's a couple. The scene in the garage where Heather catches Amir, and Heather, literally there were police on both sides saying this is the last shot and you're not allowed to film for the next year. And I was like, great. So a lot of those garage scenes, I didn't yell action because we were pretending to clear the sets out. I kept going, can I get 2 people on this platform? And then the cameras would roll and we would shoot. So there was, and they were like, if we catch you, you're shut down forever, for a year. And I was like, great, got it. But our producer, writer, director, actor, I'm the director, but Heather was running around, getting permits and making phone calls. So it was very tumultuous. It was very micro budget. So it was, we got it done. But
why were they trying to shut you down? Did you not have permits, or should I say this?
It's funny when you're in Television
You're working
City and
children
you're
14
filming.
hours.
There's a lot of rules. Like if you park the truck within a mile of where you need it, they get angry. If there's a lot of. But why would you need a 3-ton grip truck that you can't access? So there's a lot of things, and it was a learning curve, but it was a very micro budget. So we were definitely guerrilla.
Who ratted you out to the cops?
Probably the neighbor that we have a
Neighbors.
great
Yeah, it was
cell
a
phone
neighbor.
clip of screaming at our Iraq war vet, telling him he's lazy.
You're kidding.
Oh God, I got such great cell phone footage of that. So good.
It was Kelsey Grammer.
It was.
But what it took like about 3 weeks, right? Like with weekends and
Heather, how many days including the added? 13.
13 days.
Oh my God. And I'm guessing you called in a lot of favors. I'm sure you were all
Favors.
Yeah.
Post-production was in every single music cue. And there wasn't $1 for music. I mean, some of the closing credits was a band of mine from high school. Like, it was like I called everyone I knew. Some of the CGI, I called my friend. I was like, do you know how to do CGI? No, but I'll try. So there was like things that happened in the movie that was like, just carrying the football over the line.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, technology sometimes gets a bad rap, but I do love that we can go out and we can create our own stuff a little bit easier these days. And I think you've all worked also behind the scenes in some capacity. Why is it important to sort of go out and create your own work in addition to, hoping other people cast you?
Because otherwise you'll kill yourself.
Well, the vast majority of roles that you will play will not be interesting. Just period. Right? Even someone that's reached where I've reached, most of my roles are standing near more famous people and making faces. I was on LA to Vegas last season, which was a blast. But the vast majority of the time, it was just sitting next to Dylan McDermott, him being hilarious, right? And so if you need more out of acting than that, you have to create your own material, whether it's film or theater or stand-up. If you need more, which most actors do, but a lot don't. A lot of actors are like, look, I do my few lines, I pay my mortgage, and I'm happy with that. Or I stand near famous people, and in between takes, we laugh our asses off, right? Like that happened with me and Dylan McDermott a lot. Like I had a blast on that show, but I didn't do a whole lot of acting on it. Right. So if what you want out of
We know you didn't.
and what you want out of life is to do a lot of acting, the fact is very few screen actors will get that opportunity. So you got to figure it out another way.
I've always been a maker. So like I came up doing theater. We did 24 original plays a year with new scripts, and now a lot of those people are grown up like I am, and they're here in LA. And Joel and I did some really awful indies in Seattle that I can't even
Chicks
name.
with Dicks is an amazing movie.
Is that a real movie?
It is.
No. I just made that up.
By the way, New Girl's initial title was Chicks and Dicks.
Really? I've been on New Girl, but I've always been a maker. You know what I mean? And there's a point to it which even if you work, you're sort of you want your own game. And to me to be creative, and I've always done theater. And about 7 years ago, I decided to do indies because it was more scary to me at that age to just start doing that. And stuff happens. Look, you're all actors, right? Nobody teaches the acting course of what happens when stuff goes south, when the economy tanks, when there's a writer's strike, when you have a health crisis, when your parents are dying. And I mean, my mom passed away while we were shooting this picture, and during post, my best friend passed away. So it was like, nobody teaches that acting class. Nobody's like, hey, and you have a miscarriage and 28 million people are watching, and be funny. You know what I mean? We're actors. We're scrappy. And in order to make things happen, you roll up your sleeves and you get it done no matter what. So to me, that's the maker attitude. And I think all of us in this room understand that. So.
Yeah.
I think it's also about giving yourself. I think it's also giving yourself permission to, just do it. I'm always having these existential crises where I'm just like, why am I doing this? And I think it's really important to define like why we do what we do, like every day. Like, why are you an actor? Why are you a performer? Like, do you want to tell stories? Like, what kind of stories do you want to tell? And are you telling those stories? And, like to like ask these questions and to face them, even if it's really hard, because, I've been working in this like sort of corporate movie making and TV world for a long time. And I came to LA to do more corporate work. I came from New York theater doing like art stuff. And then I came here to do the corporate work. But I realized like, at a time, like, especially, I think it was like 2016, Trump got elected and I just freaked out. I was like,
What?
He hadn't heard.
I just like had so much bottled up and this like need to express. And for a long time, I think actors, we always feel like somebody else has to give us the job, or we're always waiting for somebody else to give us the permission to do. And that's actually not true, So I wrote this piece and I did a performance art piece, like literally by myself in the stage, not without any sort of, expectation or wanting to make a film or anything like that, but just because I had the need. And what happened was I met a collaborator who was in the audience and I made this movie called White Rabbit that went to
so
Sundance
good.
last year.
Yeah, it was in Sundance. You have to look it up. It's called White Rabbit. It's on iTunes. Sorry, I got to play.
It's on Amazon Prime.
It's so
You have to
good.
Google it because there's like some weird technical
You can't just
stuff.
find it on Amazon Prime?
No, you have to Google it, and then it's on Amazon Prime. It's like this weird tech. But anyway, Google White Rabbit 2018. Thank you.
You won't regret it. It's so good. I mean, she's amazing.
No, but my point is that the idea that we have to wait and wait and wait is a delusion, and I've been playing that my whole life as well. And it was only recently that I realized that we actually do have the power to tell our own stories. And it doesn't matter on what platform, if somebody sees it, then you're a storyteller,
And also, I would add to that, be willing to take risks in terms of the business side as well. Like, don't be afraid to find the email of so-and-so. Like, don't be afraid to swing for the fences in terms of if there is a role that you want, that your agents are saying, you're not big enough yet to get that kind of audition. Fuck your agent. Go around, do whatever you have to do. Or, yes.
Figuratively.
How do you think Amir got into this movie?
Is that okay?
I thought he was Indian.
What?
But that's it. But that's the thing. Also, like in terms of being innovative, don't just take your agent or manager's word for it. Mm-hmm. If there's something that you really want and you're willing, how willing are you to go out and get it? I mean, don't. Well, actually, I'm not even going to say that because. I'm not.
I didn't even know what you were going to say. So
No, for fuck's sakes. Joel.
I do think that like a lot of people focus so much on getting representation, and then they think that it's this magic ring, and once you've gotten it, you don't have to worry anymore. They'll take care of anything, and like it's important to actually stay on top of your representation. So I've heard. I'm
On top, metaphorically. Hi,
Again.
baby. You're doing great.
Do not wait for that phone call. Do not wait.
yeah, if you're waiting around for roles to come to you, you are fucked, and you should leave. This is this whole Hollywood being paid to act is a new thing, and before film was invented, we all were just running around villages going, look at me, I put on this funny costume and now I'm wearing makeup. And then people looked at you and they laughed and they went back to their jobs, and you were one step away from homeless. And you invent your own career. You're in charge of it. Don't wait around. Look, A. Linford didn't. They're not even here. That guy's been asleep for the last 10 minutes. He's been a busy man. Don't wait around. Do your thing. Make it yourself.
I know A. Linford. I hope everything's
I
okay.
did too. He actually did. He did the interviews with you guys for stock.
This is the beginning of a
British
movie.
fellow. He's actually a casting guy.
I hope you're all right. Let us
The
know you're
sequel
all
to
right.
Andrew?
Hey, Linford. But it is such a difficult business, though. I mean, it's a hard business to be in. Have you ever thought about leaving? And I mean, what would you do?
I literally for the last 6 months, at every party I go to, people have said, "Hey, how are you?" And I've said, "I'm thinking about quitting." Sort of nonstop.
Yeah.
Sounds like you've been going to a lot of parties. That's great. I mean, it's not like you live in Yemen, right? I mean, party.
And I think that happens. I decided against it. I'll say that. But yeah, I think it tends to happen a lot in June. Yes. So beware. That's going to happen to you a lot.
June gloom, everyone.
June and July. Yeah, because pilot season ends. And what happens is a lot of people get their pilots picked up, and you're not one of them, right? Or you didn't even get a pilot, so you don't even get to be sad about your pilot not getting picked up. And then also it's just slow and there's like fewer auditions and you just start to think like, maybe I should do something else. This is terrible. But then
I sort of feel like if they haven't killed me yet, they're never going to. Like if I'm not dead yet, they can't kill me. I'm already dead, so they can't kill me. So like just keep going.
I approach it like a samurai. If we don't win and we begin to lose, I would just commit suicide. So there's no other option other than just
Seconded.
keep going.
I do want to ask you guys, and you might have addressed this just with this crazy shooting schedule you had, but what did end up being the most difficult part of making the film for each of you? Maybe from a technical standpoint or, a certain scene that...
I think the direction was the most difficult.
Oof, yeah.
You can't
what do
kill
you do,
So much yelling.
Amir, did you two know each other at all? Because like you really feel like you have this past relationship, and I don't know if they send you out on like a chemistry date or how that works.
No. Just we had one table read after I got cast, and then we just jumped in.
They're actors. They're real good at what they do.
Yes. No, I mean, I think that for me anyway, that our chemistry was in large part because I saw Heather as sort of my rock in the process. I felt like I just felt like we communicated well, and I felt like I could trust her, and so doing scenes with her, there was just a level of comfort. And just ease. Like I felt like I could talk something out if I felt like something wasn't working between us and figure out where we wanted to be exactly.
Yeah, and I think it also helps that there weren't any egos. When you're dealing with a micro budget film such as this and you only have 13 days to shoot, and on top of that you're dealing with light changes and the sun is setting and we need to get this shot and go get naked on the lawn and change your clothes because we don't have time.
I got naked with you. To be
No,
fair,
you're thinking of something else.
there's B-roll.
No, you're thinking specifically of the kitchen scene. I'm
In
talking
the pool, we got naked in the pool.
No.
Yes, there's B-roll of that. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
We were pretty high during the whole thing, guys. No one remembers what we were shooting.
But anyway, so to Amir's point, you have to be on the same team, otherwise we're all gonna drown, and I thank you for that. Like I received that, and getting to feel safe with the people that you're working with. I felt very safe with Amir. I felt very safe with Vivian. Joel can go fuck himself. Like, and that's the thing. It's a community of safety. that to me is the heart of filmmaking.
To me, we were very fortunate to have the great Peter Alton shoot this movie, who was in Sundance last year with Science Fair, and an old theater guy who we met doing theater, and you know him, he's a great guy.
God, yeah.
And he's hot. Anyway, but to me, as a director of an indie film, you know, the 13 days is the party.
Yeah.
It's dragging the football over the line by yourself in your underwear in the garage. After that, that's a little like, oh, you know. So that to me is hard when it's yourself for, you know, just pushing and pushing and pushing at the end.
Yeah, I think the hardest part, not necessarily per se for this project, you know, as actors, like, you know, the acting is like the fun part. The acting is like the joy. And like, I agree, like Heather, I was obsessed with Welcome to the Dollhouse. And so as soon as I got there, and like, it was such a joy and pleasure to like act and, you know, like play. And you immediately, you know, when you're working on something, you know what kind of actor that person is, and like, she's game for play. And that's like, yeah, you know. So that's all easy and that's all good, you know, and it's almost like we do that stuff for free almost. Don't tell SAG, but the stuff that's hard, I think the hardest for like sometimes like indie filmmaking is that, you know, because there's no money or the money is so small, like you're usually really stressed because, you know, either like you're just, you know, like wearing multiple hats and all the crew, like everyone's stressed. And so as actors, I think sometimes we're super sensitive and we can pick up on this energy of like the crew. And then all of a sudden you're like, you start thinking like, oh my God, they don't like me, or you start, you know, taking it personally. And I think that's kind of like always hard, is like not to be affected by the energy of like, you know, whatever drama is going outside of the drama.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the big challenges with any low budget thing is that people often feel like, well, I'm not being paid in money, so this needs to happen, right? I need to either be having fun or being respected. And if they feel like one of those isn't happening on a particular day, then they get pissed, right? And it might just be that, hey, we're too busy to have fun today, right? Or something terrible happened and I didn't mean to disrespect you, but my energy was over here. And so it's dicey sometimes. And so you're really fortunate when everyone can sort of band together and be like, look, we are definitely here for this sort of love of this story. And we're going to tell it, and we're going to, you know, Heather said you need to have no egos. That's, you know, much easier said than done. You know, sometimes those egos get in the way. But I think we were fortunate that for the most part, people did approach
fun.
it.
Yeah, fun set.
I just want to close out with a couple quick audience questions. We have a question from the Sharp Facet. Do you understand what that means? No. Okay. It's for Amir, but I'd actually love to ask all of you guys, what effect do you feel your social media activity has on your bookings? Have you particularly been causing problems on social media?
Well, I mean, I'm pretty vocal, both about sort of progressive politics, but also about representation. I've written on representation issues. Hey, thanks. And the way that minorities are kept from certain opportunities and depicted in other places. You know, I've talked to my reps quite a bit about it, and asked, like, am I getting any pushback? Is anyone sort of, you know, we like Amir, but he's a little, you know, they're like, nope, literally no one has ever mentioned that to us. I will say that I've connected with a lot of people on Twitter who care about the same things that I care about. And so I wouldn't say that my activism has been a networking opportunity. I'm not that cynical about it, but I will say that it brings people into your orbit who are like you. And those people often end up becoming collaborators or just friends. So if anything, you know, being outspoken and being honest has been great for me. Yeah.
I mean, I'm just going to share this quick story. A former agent of mine, and they're former for a reason.
They're dead.
Yes, they're dead. They had reached out to me about a specific social media post I had made. And the two people that had reached out to her were both men. Cis, straight, white men.
You, Joel.
High five.
And the post that they were so offended by was a post that I had made about masturbation. And I mean, come on, Jillian. Really? Anyway, I think that there's it's not the same, I think, necessarily for men as it is for women, even in that social media sphere, and the truth is that how much is one willing to compromise, and I definitely don't tweet out 90% of the things that I think.
That's smart.
I don't. And I also have scrubbed my Twitter feed on more than one occasion, because it's very easy to get caught up in the cyclical fear, especially with where we are as a country right now. Trump is president, and what's going to happen? Oh, okay, you're kind of, you're a little too this. We're not going to hire you. We want people that are safe. We want people that are digestible. But art isn't always safe. Art isn't always digestible, and that's what makes art art. That's why I love telling stories. It's not to just numb the minds of the masses. It's to wake people up. It's to inspire them, and getting to share myself publicly in that way. It's a privilege and it's a responsibility, and just like last night, Brene Brown has this new Netflix special. It's so brilliant. And she talks about, unless you are in the arena of life, getting the shit kicked out of you, getting bloodied, actively failing, you have no, there's no commentary that's going to come from you about my life. So the former agent that had reached out to me to say, I really think you need to tone it down with the social media because you had shared that thing about the masturbation and ba 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 ba. But here's a deeper truth. I'm coming from a place of sexual satisfaction has been difficult for me for many reasons, and getting to be a woman, getting to be a public woman, and getting to see how many others identify. I'm gonna silence myself because two fucking straight white dudes in the industry felt uncomfortable and thought it was inappropriate. Go fuck yourself,
Yeah.
So again, it's...
They could also just unfollow you. I mean, there is.
But here's the thing: they went out of their way to reach out to my agent specifically, to tell me to tone it down because they felt uncomfortable. What?
Yeah. Oh, did you want to say something?
Me?
Yeah. Oh no.
No, I was.
Joel.
Yeah, I called her agents, and I was just like, "Here's why I'm uncomfortable."
You had the mic
Not
ready.
enough pictures.
Joel, are you political at all or anything on?
Yeah, I'm in the Whig party. Bring it back.
Not
you leave?
to judge you one way or the other, but do you
Too late.
do you speak out on politics or social stuff?
No,
online
I usually just promote myself with watch Card Sharks on ABC tonight at 9 before match
Wait, what was that? When is it?
Thank you for saying
Card
that.
Sharks.
Card Sharks?
It's a
Oh,
game
it's a
show.
new-
I am
They
fulfilling.
brought it back?
What?
They brought Card Sharks back.
What are you talking about? There was a different version before mine?
Yes.
Serious?
What?
Are you serious?
Is this I'm doing a reboot?
No, you're joking.
Yeah, of course I'm fucking joking. What?
Okay.
Yeah, I knew it was a
Sorry,
reboot.
you're a good actor. I couldn't tell.
Thanks for saying that. It was real acting. Yeah, I do a lot. I'm very lazy on Twitter. I don't do it a lot, and it does become like
He's got like 3.5 million. I don't even know.
it's just like
Yeah, but the
three
I put him in like the
3.1
movie,
million,
and like
guys.
suddenly there was like, I'm like, what the?
No, I'm not that politically active. I got very behind promoting the person who represents basically the state attorney general who represents public education in California. I get very upset about certain things, and one of them was that California has been 45th in the nation for the last 40 years, and the shit that it's funny to, obviously if you're outspoken about anything, and especially now, you get tons of shit, and I became very outspoken about 45th in the nation for the richest state, the 8th largest economy on the planet, and it's funny to see how when you go out there, you get attacked. But then I just kept retweeting 45th in the nation, 45th in the nation. Let's try to get to 39th, guys, and let's move it up. Let's get past Georgia, and Georgia's actually better than us. Mississippi, though, we're still beating them, and
Yes.
Suck on that, Mississippi.
So when I get behind it all the way, and I think people are very aware of my politics. And when I did the show on Netflix, people were it's canceled. And when people were like, "You need to talk about politics," and I was like, "I'm going to make fun of people farting into cups and throwing it on their friends," and they're like, "Well, you should be political." And I was like, "Look, when he gets impeached and he gets back on a reality show, I will make fun of that because that's what the show is about." Anyway, in conclusion, please watch Card Sharks, ABC,
9 p.m.
9 p.m. before match game, after Press Your Luck.
And on that note, I believe this movie is available on several platforms right now. You can-
Several.
Not all.
You have a
Amazon,
You have to
Direct
Google
TV,
Hulu Stuck.
iTunes, Vimeo. It's out there.
Jillian, they've already seen it.
Look for the green poster. You've seen it.
Yes, but please spread the word. Let
But
it
you
spread
know
the
what?
word.
Yeah.
We need the residuals.
Tweet with SAG Foundation hashtag and Stuck. And if you guys like the movie, bump it out because we can use your help.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you
I
guys
think
for being
you
a great
love it, right?
audience.
You loved it? You loved it?
Thank
How
you.
about you? Thanks, you guys.